welcome to this episode of The Creative Pause. My name is Susan Padrone, and I'm here with my co-host, who I will allow to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stacey Fay. It's so good to be with you today. We are very excited today to talk about some healthy eating and get to a good smoothie recipe. But before we jump in there, we wanted to take a moment to ask the question of the day and talk about why we're here. We hope this time with you in every episode offers some respite, offers a moment of calm, happiness, inspiration, just a way to kind of connect in this time that we're all navigating. And we always start our episodes with a question. We were in season 1 asking the question of how you all are doing. We still are wondering that. It still changes for all of us moment to moment. But now that we're in this new phase, where some of us are coming out of quarantine and we're making some changes in our lives, we felt it was good to ask an inspiring and hopeful question. So today's question is related to healthy living. And we really want to ask the question of what are we each doing lately to keep healthy of body and mind? So I'll answer that question, Susan will, and so will Jiana. So again, the question is, what are we doing to stay healthy of body and mind? We invite you at home to think about this, say it aloud, write it down, whatever you want to do to kind of check in on this point. So I'll start. And for those of you that don't know, I'm postpartum, so I have a newborn. So it's a little bit trickier to stay healthy of both body and mind, but I'm trying my best. And one change that I've made in the past couple of weeks is that I now go for a morning walk. So for a while there, I was in that moment. I think a lot of us are here lately where you're not really sure how best to exercise or how to get moving because you're maybe stuck in the house more or that sort of thing. And I was definitely there, especially with having, the inability to work out for 6 weeks and all of that to come with having a baby. So I got to the point of saying, okay, how can I fit it in? What can I possibly do? And I realized, okay, my son sleeps a little longer than my newborn, so I'm going to go for a nice morning walk while he's sleeping and be able to get outside. And some mornings it's just one loop around the block, which is about a mile. Other mornings it's 2 miles, whatever, I can squeeze in to keep myself moving, basically keep my body moving. So I've been doing that and little by little trying to eat healthier. So I'm eating way too much sugar these days. I'm trying to cut back on that. I'm really excited to have Giana's smoothie because maybe that'll help to kind of set my day off right. But yeah, I'd say for me, it's mostly the walk lately that's really helping. How about you, Susan? What are you doing lately that you think is helping?
Oh my gosh, Stacey, you're cracking me up because I'm like, our answers are going to be the same: going for walks and eating too much sugar, trying to eat less sugar. I was just laughing on my end while you're sharing that because I can absolutely relate. My son is 5 and he doesn't really like to go for walks anymore now that he's not like stroller bound, which is kind of a bummer. But I do take my dog for walks, and that is something that I've been so grateful for. I mean, since we started going for regular walks, but especially over the last several months, because I don't know, I like having that time outside. I love being with my dog. Like he's a love. But there's something about being outside and being with him where it just allows me to get all of this mental clarity while being able to move my body and get some vitamin D. Like it just all in all, it's a really nice, good experience. And thankfully it was a little bit cooler out today than it has been over the last few weeks. Some of those, even in the morning, like some of the mornings have been really just hot or humid. And I don't know, I really struggle with getting outside when it's like that. So I was very happy that today was not one of those days and I got to enjoy it with my pup. In terms of eating, trying to eat less sugar. One thing that we've been doing in our house is we have been participating in a crop share, which has been awesome. One of the farms by us also works with other farms in the area to really present this beautiful assortment of fresh produce and eggs every week. And that's really been challenging me to think outside the box, think outside of our usual go-to recipes so that we can utilize everything that we're getting rather than trying to meal plan for the week and buying produce as we need to. You know, we're supporting local farms, and we're having fun with cooking, or I'm having fun with cooking. I'm doing most of the cooking, but yeah, that's been great. And then I feel less bad or guilty about, you know, the sugar that I'm also indulging in feels balanced or something, or that's what I'm telling myself. I don't know. But Gianna, what about you? What are you doing to help keep yourself healthy, your mind and body? Whoop, hold on. Where?
No.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. Sorry, we had some
Okay.
issues.
No worries. And thank you all. Thank you so much for having me here. And you know what? I really love that you included how you felt in nature. Nature is such a key part of my healthy lifestyle. I go for walks. I'm a runner, so I love to be able to get that run in my day. And it is really part of a holistic approach to wellness that I really do try to employ it as part of my life every day. At Get Fresh Daily, we have 5 tenets to health, and I feel like this is a really great opportunity to share it. It starts with our mindfulness and how we are approaching our day. So mindfulness and being present is really where it all starts. Our second component to wellness is nourishing ourselves, and that is about making sure we eat a lot of plant-based foods and drinking a lot of water. The third component is about moving our body, and I really make a strong point about saying it's not about like exercise. We're not about trying to do something to change our physical body. It's more so about this idea of movement, because our body needs, like for our blood flow, for oxygen flow, we need to in some way, shape, or form move our bodies every single day. And also under that umbrella of taking care of our bodies is also getting enough rest. So making sure that we make enough time to rest, to pause when we need to rest. That's another really important component of a well-balanced lifestyle. The fourth component is about creating our own joy. And I'm kind of laughing because I have a summer camp and we teach our kids these 5 components every day. And this week we've been talking about joy and making that distinction between what is joy and what is happiness. And I'm just loving these conversations with the children, which around joy is coming from internal. It's coming from our inside. It's the feeling that we have when we are happy. And so where happiness is based on an external stipulation, it's something that someone did for you or something somebody gave to you. Joy is the feeling that we get from that. And so it also springs from this idea of being creative, because we are creating something. And again, it kind of comes back to that joy. So that's the fourth component. And then the fifth component is about, oh gosh, how am I slipping my mind? It is about nature. And nature to me, like I created this visual of this and how they all kind of work in tandem. Again, for me, nature and like living naturally is really so key to tying everything together. So it's like for me, like I find my joy in like being outside, having the sun on my skin, thinking about those waves. So like you can really see how like nature connects with our joy, with connects to movement. And so back to your original question, what am I doing to make sure that I have a healthy lifestyle? I literally have those 5 things in my mind all day, and I'm literally always trying to make sure I check off each of those things to the best of my ability, right? Nobody is perfect, but I'm always thinking, okay, did I move today? What am I eating? You know, and the other thing that I would really add here too is really honoring my body and how I feel in terms of rest. I feel like since quarantine and everything that has been going on, and I am self-employed, so I work for myself. So I'm able to, and really am grateful for being able to say like, you know what, I feel like I might have been over-extenuating myself. I'm going to just, you know, it may not necessarily be a nap per se, but maybe I'm just going to turn everything off and just have, maybe I'm going to sit outside and get in nature. Maybe I am going to just say tonight, I'm going to close everything down, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm just going to rest, turn on Netflix, and just veg out. I feel like that has been really key and something that's really come out of this time. I mean, before quarantine, I was not honoring that. We're just go, 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 and there's always something to do. But now I have a better appreciation for taking care of myself holistically.
Yeah, that everything that you said about just honoring what your body needs right now, what your
Yeah.
body is asking for right now, I think is another big lesson that I'm still trying to absorb for myself, but something that I've become more aware of as well over the last several months of being in quarantine. You know, and just saying to myself, because I'm self-employed also, and so is Stacy, and you know, just having those moments where you're the boss and you can say to yourself, like, hey, you need a minute? You need like 20 minutes? You need whatever. Like, your brain is no longer functioning at optimal level. So don't push it any further. Like, how would you speak to an employee if you were your own employee? You would treat them with that kind of kindness. And I'm sure that they would really take to that and appreciate it. So I know that when I speak to myself like that and try to give myself that freedom to step away from things and just rest, or even if it's a day of rest, whatever your body needs, you have to listen and you have to honor that. So really appreciate that you share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I think about that, we have a lot of conversations now about going back to normal. And, you know, this conversation around like, what is normal? The way we've been working, that's not normal. You know, like just going all of the time. And you have to appreciate how much more productive we are as individuals in our family life when we can really kind of honor those cycles. So I'm really praying and hoping for, you know, corporate America and all of my friends who don't have the opportunity to work from home, who have actually been, my friends who are working from home are also saying the same things, that they are able to kind of say, you know what, being at home, I'm able to relax a little bit more. Maybe I can take a little bit of a break. So I like this shift that we're in. I'm hoping that we can maintain some of that moving forward.
Amen. Yeah, I've said on several episodes, I'm like, I've been waiting for this moment in a way, because I think it gives us all permission to, you know, permission's been a theme that's come up in the Creative Pause countless times. And I think this is a big time of giving permission for rest, for recalibrating, for change, for all of these things that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I also feel like this is the beyond perfect segue into the quote that you shared with us, Jiana. So I'm going to do a screen share and pull that up, because really we couldn't have prepared it any better than this. And kind of I'm impressed with all of us. So high fives all around. So the quote that Jiana shared with us today says, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare." So Jiana, can you share with us what it was about that quote that you wanted to share with us on our episode today? What about it really resonated with you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is my all-time favorite quote in terms of what I do and my passion, because we live in a society that has commodified wellness, that has made it look like something that is only accessible to people who look a certain way, who are in a certain class, have a certain income demographic. And what we know is that is not what wellness is about. Wellness really is about being able to care for ourselves in a way that helps us be more efficient, to help us be able to face the next day, to be able to feel good about ourselves. And so I just love that Audre Lorde, I mean, this was written during the Civil Rights Movement. And so for people of color, for Black people who were really on the front lines, fighting for our freedom, you know, this piece about it being an act of political warfare is profound, that has just as much significance then as it does today. Because in order for us to continue this fight, we have to be healthy. We have to be strong. We have to be able to know when, you know what, we have to take a rest. You know what, you have to be able to nourish yourself in a way so that you can be stronger and fight another day. So I just love that she framed it this way, that it's not about like, doing bath bombs. I mean, that's one thing, but I also love that this gives it, it makes it so accessible for everyone. It's a quote that I use in a lot of my cooking classes that I do with, people who live in marginalized communities, because they really do feel like wellness is not for them. So I can always go back to this quote and share, like, it is absolutely for you. It is for you. It is for us, to be able to fortify ourselves and be able to move forward.
I love that. And this quote too, Jiana, reminds me a lot of, when I worked in the nonprofit community, which I did for over a decade, you'll find that most people that work in the nonprofit community never care for themselves. They're giving. They're working tirelessly. And eventually you burn out, which I did, which most of my colleagues did. And then you have nothing to give,
Right.
if you get to that point. And so, yeah, so I think, that element of, yes, it's an act of political warfare, because quite literally, I mean, you cannot do the work in the world that you need to or want to if you don't have a sense of self-care.
Yeah, and then it takes on a very literal meaning when you start thinking about how community of color have lack of access to green spaces, have lack of access to healthier foods. But also, I like to talk about, food apartheid, that really isn't so much about a lack of access to healthy food, but the oversaturation of unhealthy foods. So when you start looking at our food systems and, teaching people and like having people understand, for us to take care of ourselves is literally pushing back against a system that is set up for Black people and marginalized communities not to be able to do well, to not be able to thrive. It's part of that system. So it's like, for it to be an act of political warfare, I have a cooking class and I say that to my mothers every time. Like, your being here is pushing back against a society that's saying that being healthy is not for your families, it's not for you. So I just applaud them for every single thing that they are doing to care for themselves and also to care for their families and by extension, their community.
Jiana, when you share that with the mothers that are attending the cooking classes, do you find that they're able to like receive that message and feel it? Or do you think that they're still kind of like they struggle to let it sink in until later? Like, how do you find that they process that? Because it's such a heavy thought to receive, especially if you haven't thought about it before.
Yeah, it is heavy, isn't it? I mean, it's major. It's upsetting. It's infuriating. I think that it's well received because it's an acknowledgement of what they're doing. I had recently did a study that showed that basically it was like 98% of the parents that were in my cooking classes had either themselves or someone in their immediate family who suffered from heart disease, diabetes, or asthma. And actually, asthma was the highest percentage, which I was pretty surprised by. But at the same time, when I asked the question, is being healthy important to you? Do you go out of your way to, include healthy foods in your family's meals? 98% of them said yes. So it's kind of like, for them to have come here, they are already aware that they're pushing back against the norm in their lives. And so while it is heavy, I'm very big, like I am a former classroom teacher. So I'm always very big on like celebrating every accomplishment. And I'm also big on like repeating it over and over again until it sinks in. But it just feels very powerful. So at the same time, it's very, it's very fortifying. I mean, like, I feel good about that.
Yeah, you absolutely should. And I think it's amazing. Like, you're really empowering the people who are attending your classes in such an amazing way. Obviously they're learning these incredible skills to help with their wellness, but it's also feeding into their souls and their strength, and just that continues to has a ripple effect and go beyond just what they're doing and what you're doing in the class. And I think that that's really beautiful that you're giving them all of those beautiful gifts.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it really is powerful work. I'm grateful to be in this space, to be doing it. But it's also just kind of connecting the dots where it's like, right now we're in a time of, civil unrest, and we're like uprisings in the Black community, particularly about police brutality. And we're talking about our criminal justice system. And like, I'm on a mission to make like this food justice and the health justice just as an important issue for us to be taking up, because where police violence is an immediate death, this food culture is a slow death. And this is what we are seeing in our communities. It's ravaging our communities, and it is preventable. And it's not, I don't like a lot of the conversations that kind of make it feel like it's the same thing with wellness. Like, oh, well, this is all that's in your neighborhood, or, oh, well, you can, like trying to put the onus off on people who have had a hard time. Like, it's not their fault that they've had a hard time, because these systems are in place to make it be a hard time for them. But then, another part of this study that I did was that there's 1 million people in Philadelphia that when they walk out of their home, they have access to 20 points of unhealthy food or unhealthy products like cigarettes and alcohol. And it's like that's 2/3 of Philadelphia's population. And so when you think about that, and we know that that's, in poor communities. And then I asked the question, well, I live in Mount Airy. That's not how my neighborhood looks. Is that how your neighborhood looks? Like, this is systemic racism that has created the space for that. Like, I live right down the street from Chestnut Hill. I don't know where you all live, but the liquor stores and things like that, there's one McDonald's. If it's a Chinese food, restaurant or something like that, it has the same appearance as everything else it does. It's not promoted. It's the liquor stores tucked back in the corner. You don't see it on the main strip. And there's a lot to be said for having access or things that are promoted to you on a constant basis. I mean, I'm overwhelmed by that number. To be able to walk out of your home and have access to 20 stores where you can access unhealthy foods, it's really difficult to have a healthy lifestyle if it's not around you at all. So I'm sorry, this is a little bit on a tangent, but
no, not at all. This is why we pull up the quote, actually, because typically this is what happens. We get into a really deep conversation pretty quickly. So no, it's all completely relevant and really important to the work that you're doing, and how people are thinking about this in their own lives, and also their connecting points in their community. How we can each make change to move this in a different direction.
Yeah, and an awareness that it's, that it is uneven, it is unfair. That's not fair. How is that fair? And then it has such an impact on my primary work is in schools, and I work a lot with children, and, it just has become the norm. So it's like, for me to come in, I have to really, my Get Fresh Daily really exists in this intersection of community, culture, and wellness. And I say that because what I have to do is create programming that is culturally competent, that can relate. So you can't go in and demonize food that's what's available to them. You can't say, put down that soda, it's garbage, it's terrible for you. Well, this is what we have. So instead of demonizing what they have or making them feel bad or guilty about these horrible statistics, I go in and create like a sense of community around the benefits of living healthy, which is living vibrantly, like feeling good, feeling active, feeling up. And so we'll have like parties that are like smoothie parties and parfait parties, and we're playing music, and all the food that's there is all plant-based food. And our exercise is like dance and jumping rope and having fun. So it's kind of creating it's a twist on the marketing that is more negative and pervasive in communities of color by making it a positive twist on healthy. And so, I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's hard. It's hard work, but hey, somebody's got to do it. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, I feel like we're making a difference.
Yeah, I would say you're definitely making a difference. And I think that's a good segue into a more formal introduction. We've heard so many good thoughts already, and I love the 5 tenets you mentioned earlier that sort of are the underpinnings of Get Fresh Daily. But to formally introduce Jiana before she leads us in this beautiful smoothie recipe and we have more conversation, Get Fresh Daily is a social enterprise celebrating community, culture, and plant-centric living through high-energy events and education, some of what you just heard about, that inspire and lift people up in their potential and their higher self. Get Fresh Daily interrupts dominant narratives depicting wellness as inaccessible for marginalized communities by showcasing people of color actively engaging with nature, exhibiting healthy, vibrant lifestyles. So that's awesome. And I know we talked some about it, and we'll talk some more here as you get to smoothie making, but I'm going to pass the mic to you, Jiana, and we'd love to hear more from you and give you the floor.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to share with you all how to make a 100% plant-based, delicious, nutrient-dense green smoothie that is guaranteed delicious. I can guarantee it because I make it for children, I make it for adults, and I'm able to really change people's minds with this green smoothie because a lot of people are kind of like, green foods, not so sure about that. But this green smoothie is guaranteed delicious. So before I dig in, I just wanted to share a little bit about all this work that I do with Get Fresh Daily. My wellness journey is really rooted in plant-based diets. And I like to kind of start there because a lot of people don't understand the difference between like being vegan and being like plant-based. And the one thing I always stress to people is that being vegan does not mean that you are healthy. You can be vegan and not eat any meat, but you can have a very unhealthy vegan diet and there are a lot of people who eat this way. It's like, you can have like French fries, you can have, a lot of like burgers and like cheesesteaks. I mean, there's a ton of fast food restaurants out here that are vegan, that are 100% not good for you. The difference with a plant-based diet is that a plant-based means that you eat mostly foods that are whole, non-processed, and look like the foods as they exist in nature. So like an example I would use is like the difference between having like an apple, like a fresh apple from the tree. You could literally go to a tree, pull that apple off and eat it. That is 100% plant-based food. Then we look at something like apple juice. Apple juice has been processed. They have taken that apple, they've pressed it, they have pasteurized it. Once they do it, pasteurize it means that they do a flash heat to kill off any enzymes. Those same enzymes that they kill off are where the nutrients live. And so as soon as they package it, put it on the shelf, it has now been processed and it's less healthy for you. It's not unhealthy. It's just not as healthy as eating the apple from the tree because that process has really been put in place so that it can have a shelf life. It's not for any other purpose, but for that big food company to be able to say, that apple juice has, 6 months on the shelf. That's actually kind of gross. That it's like whatever they're doing to the food so that it has a longer shelf life has nothing to do with our benefit and nothing to do with our nutritional health. The third kind of component in that I would use is like an Apple Jacks. It's something that I do with my children all the time. Apple Jacks is 100% processed. There's no more apple in that Apple Jacks. It's all high fructose corn syrup, it's corn, it's all of this stuff. It's no longer apple at all. So we are looking at having less processed foods and more whole plant-based foods. The other thing that I teach too in regards to eating whole plant-based foods is that I'm an advocate for, I'm not really saying that you shouldn't have meat. I'm saying that we should still make our plates mostly whole plant-based foods. So even in my cooking class I was referring to earlier, we'll make a beautiful, let's say last week we did like a quinoa and stir-fried vegetables. And it was beautiful. And I said, I would have some beans. I would have like black beans and garbanzo beans mixed into my rice, and that's my protein. However, if you're doing some fish or you're doing chicken, I will co-sign on that meal because particularly if you have a nice piece of fish, that's still a very healthy meal. And 3/4 of your plate are plant-based. I also want to share that I have never had an Impossible Burger. I've never had a Beyond Meat burger. Those foods are literally made in a lab. They have scientists in a lab trying to mix and mash and all these kind of things to figure out what kind of plant they could use so that it looks like blood coming out of the burger. That is just as bad as going to Burger King and having a Whopper, in my opinion, because it is so far from nature. It is highly processed. So you can have these foods that are vegan, but they are still highly processed, and you should treat them like you would take any other junk food, sparingly. Have it on a Saturday, have it once a week, have it every once in a while, but make sure that most of your diet is 100% plant-based. So yeah, so that's kind of where I am, and that's where all of this kind of started off. So let me go ahead and get into making this green smoothie for you. So the ingredients, also, this green smoothie is also very high in antioxidants and vitamin C. So that's really important too in thinking about, like, we're still fighting off this coronavirus. This is something that you can have in your diet. Your babies are gonna love it. Like, babies love this smoothie because it's sweet. So their natural inclination for sweetness, it's a really great way to acclimate them into like having more greens and things in their life at a really young age. And it's super nutrient dense. The minimum amount of vitamin C you should have to fight off disease and keep yourself well is 200 milligrams. So this smoothie is going to be well over 100 or 200 milligrams. So let's get started. So first of all, I use a NutriBullet. I love NutriBullet. I've tried a lot of them. I love NutriBullets because you can just kind of make like this 1 or 2 serving, and it's not like, you don't have any waste. So this recipe is going to include kale. We are going to have mango. We are going to have a green apple, kiwi, banana, lemon, and this beautiful basil here. We're going to take it right off the plant and put it right into our smoothie. So I'm using this Placenta kale. It's called Dinosaur Kale because of the scales. And actually, 1 leaf of kale has 70 milligrams of vitamin C, which is the same amount of vitamin C in 1 whole orange. So you're thinking about vitamin C, and I was like, orange. Like, actually, your dark leafy greens are going to give you even more than that. I love kale. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 in there. So right off the top, we're at 140 milligrams of vitamin C, and our goal is 200. This is also going to go well towards your 5 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day. You're getting all in 1 smoothie. So we go ahead and have the greens. And then I think I'm going to do Granny Smith apple. You can do any kind of apple you like. We put the whole apple in there. We don't worry about taken out the seeds or anything. It just will all go together in the mix. So go ahead. Don't want the stem. We'll take that out. And don't want the sticker. Take that off too. We'll go ahead and chop that up. Put the whole apple right in there. Here we're also going to put the basil. I'm going to just, like, again, I told you, like, I am a basil fanatic. So I'm going to take a big handful. Because I grew this at home, I don't have any worries about it having pesticides on it or anything. And the more you can get this, the reason why local food is so healthy for you is because it is allowed to grow on the vine to its full ripeness. The more it can mature on the vine, the more nutrients it has. So you think about like a tomato in like December and you get it and it's like white on the inside compared to like now where it's like juicy and red. The darker your fruits and vegetables are, the more nutrients it has. So the longer we can let it mature, the healthier it is, which is why I'm loving this basil right here in my life that I can put right into my smoothie. We go ahead and add about a cup, 3/4 of a cup of water. And then I actually, compared to my basil obsession, I'm probably just as obsessed with lemon. And we go ahead and put this lemon in here. And I think that lemon has, 1 whole lemon has about 40 milligrams of vitamin C. So I go ahead and put the whole thing in there. And what we are going to do is actually, we're going to blend this concoction first. So we're gonna do the dark leafy greens, the apples, we're gonna blend it first. In this way, we're kind of creating our own juice. A lot of people feel like you have to make a smoothie and it has to have like apple juice or orange juice, or you have to add like almond milk. In this 100% plant-based smoothie, we're creating our own juice here. So this is our base. So we'll go ahead and we'll blend it up. And we're gonna liquefy that until it's completely smooth. Really? Really? I'm so sorry. I can't believe it's not gonna work for me.
Totally okay. We've had technical issues here before, so.
That is crazy. Oh no.
It's okay.
Is this like a pause moment? Can we?
We'll talk through it. It's fine. So
Okay.
I'll ask you about your basil plant. So did you grow that from seeds, or I know because like in some grocery stores and everything, they have like the basil, it's still attached to the root ball. Like how did you grow your basil?
I actually got this from ShopRite. Yes, and I was like, organic basil at ShopRite in a bowl. I'm there for that.
That's amazing. So it was
I actually have two. I was like, I can't deny this.
No judgment.
I wonder if I can you all see me if I'm here? Yeah. Okay, good.
I can still see you.
Okay, perfect. So sorry about that. Okay, let's see. Oh, really?
NutriBullet fail.
NutriBullet fail. So much for my NutriBullet. Let me try one more here. I've got a spare.
Moving on to one more outlet. There are different NutriBullet face.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I used this very same smoothie earlier today.
Yay, success. We had a really old blender for the longest time. We just replaced it around Christmas. My husband asked for a new one, and it still blows my mind like how efficient a good blender is, because the one that we had was really sad.
I have the saddest glass blender. I went out of my way to buy glass because I didn't want to have plastic touching my smoothies, and it's so loud I have to ask my toddler to leave the room. I'm like, okay, we're all gonna leave the room now while the blender does this thing, and then it still doesn't blend it well. I'm like, what did I do? I need to just invest in NutriBullet or whatever the other bullet is. I think there's another one that's like has that name in it that works really well.
Yeah. We have a Vitamix that we're quite pleased with.
Vitamix.
But I've heard good things about the NutriBullet too, and I'm like already amazed at how quickly that smoothie looked like it liquefied with everything that's in it.
Well, that's the thing. You'll see that I let it go a little longer than you would think, because we don't want chunks of kale. Like nobody likes chunks of kale in their smoothie. So we let that go until it's nice and smooth. And I did hear you talking about a Vitamix. Like I love my Vitamix, but it's just like it feels like it's more work to do. Like especially if you kind of just want your own little smoothie to go. I'm gonna also transfer it into this container because I think it might do better. All right, so you can see it's a nice puree there. And so then to this juice that we've created, I'm going to add this is the pulp of one whole mango that I cut up. Mango is really delicious. So when you get to your fruit, you can actually add any kind of fruit that you like. It's about a cup to a cup and a half. Today I'm going to use mango and kiwi. Mango has one of the highest amount of vitamin C content of all the fruits, 122 milligrams of vitamin C in one mango. So that is amazing. And this is getting our count like beyond 300 at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and add that directly into our mix. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add the kiwi. Kiwi has 70 milligrams of vitamin C, one whole kiwi, which is the same amount as an orange. So I love how efficient like a kiwi is. Plus they're always very inexpensive, like 3 for $1. And then we add banana. So what I want to say about a banana, so like this brown banana is actually perfect for smoothies. This is again another example of like the riper it is, the more nutrients it has. A lot of people get to that point of the banana and they're like ready to throw it out. And it's like, don't ever throw away your brown bananas. Please peel them and freeze them. So these are out of the freezer. I just did the whole thing. You peel it and just put it right there into your little Ziploc bag that we just keep on the ready. And also adding the frozen is giving you the coldness that everything else is fresh. So then we just put that back and blend it up again. Oh, what? I was like, what?
Yeah, I like that you can add frozen fruit to your smoothies and you don't have to worry about adding ice because then, you know, the ice could sometimes water it down and like dilute the smoothie. So I'm sure that Gianna's gonna share about that too.
On the frozen banana trick, I just froze bananas the other day for this reason. And the first time I did that, it was several years ago that I learned that you could do that. Like, I don't know how I had to learn that because it seems like an obvious point once you know it, but it blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's like exactly as you said, it's just like ice. Like it just makes it nice and cool and
great.
So delicious. They're good to eat by themselves too, frozen bananas. They're really a nice treat.
That is it. I am actually really excited because I did not get my green smoothie today. So let me taste for you guys. It's perfect, just like I said. No, but honestly, like the basil is, I can't really tout enough how transformative putting fresh herbs into your smoothies are. It just takes that whole flavor palette to a whole other level. And then also adding the lemon highlights the herb. So like you can't taste the kale in here at all. I would be surprised if anybody, people say you can't taste the green. If you do have someone who's like, I'm not sure about kale, you can add baby spinach and you definitely don't taste it at all. So that's it, guys. Your 100% plant-based green smoothie.
That's amazing. And did you say earlier that the type of kale that you were using is called Dinosaur Kale? Did I hear that correctly?
That's what they call it because it's scaly, like.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My son is obsessed with dinosaurs, like obsessed with them. Like we just redecorated his room to highlight all of his dinosaur toys. Obsessed. So I'm like, dinosaur kale, you said? I wasn't sure if I was just like hearing that because that's all I hear during the day is like dinosaur, dinosaur, dinosaur.
That's funny. No, that sounds like a great way to get their kids to eat, like have some of your dinosaur kale. I think the real name is Lacinto, Lacinto is the technical, but in school circles, we just call it dinosaur.
I love that. I'm like really thinking about trying to incorporate it into one of his next meals because I feel like he'll be all about it because if it's dinosaur related, then he'll eat it. So, I mean,
please let me know. I would love to know. And honestly, if you have like a child or somebody who's just like no way with the greens, I would definitely try the baby spinach. But the other thing is just take it out. Everything else in here is still super nutrient dense. My favorite part about the smoothie is that we don't add there's nothing processed in it. There's no almond milk, coconut milk, oat milk. Those are all great. I use them all the time, but they're processed. You know, they've got something other than the oat in there. So this smoothie, you have nothing processed. You've got like 5 different fruits in there. And yeah, so it's delicious. Checks all the boxes.
Jiana, you mentioned about the basil, obviously, in this recipe. Are there any other herbs that you tend to use in green smoothies? I'm just wondering if there are any other herbs that would also, I love basil too, but I'm just curious if there are other herbs that might be a good fit.
Yeah, I would try, I mean, it depends on like your flavor palette, right? Like, I think that I might try some cilantro because I like cilantro. I feel like the leafy ones are better. Like the parsley would be a little tart. Lemongrass would be really nice. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just think it's more so about how smooth you can get it in the blender. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looks delicious. And one other quick question. I noticed in the beginning you said you could just kind of throw the whole apple in. Did you actually put seeds in there?
Yeah, I don't take out the seeds. I know that there's a little bit of controversy around, I think, of having I can't remember what it was, but honestly, it's minuscule. And the other thing too is it's just kind of like the seeds and the skin, like the nutrients live in those places. So it's like you just throw it in there, you can't taste it. I also put the seeds of the lemon in there, just put it in there. It just all kind of, it kind of all equals out in the wash.
Wow, the NutriBowl can actually grind up lemon seeds too. That's amazing.
Yes, I'm telling you.
NutriBowl advertisement here.
Listen, they donated a bunch of NutriBullets to the school many years ago, and we're still using them. I'm really, like, I'm honest, I'm not, like just saying that at all. I really am really impressed with the NutriBullet. Like the Ninja does not do that. Ninja does not smooth your, does not purify like that, or like your Hamilton Beach or whatever these other kinds. I mean, honestly, I really do. I really do support it. It's got a good shelf life. Like it lasts a really good long time, and they're under $100. I mean, your Vitamix, I have that. It's like $500. So it's kind of like that's the only other blender that I see to get things as smooth as a Vitamix. Yeah, it's crazy. I know, right? Like, really, NutriBullet? I know.
Yeah, that's amazing. My mind is blown. For some reason, I thought that NutriBullets are more expensive, but that's fantastic that they're at that like lower price point too, because again, like you don't want to have these higher level tools that you need to make these delicious products or delicious meals and then not be able to afford what you need to make it. It's like, if you can have something that's accessible with ingredients that are also accessible, you're just allowing that path to wellness to be so much easier and, like leveling out the playing field a little bit there, which is
exactly. No, it's huge. I mean, those little things make a big difference. Like it makes me think about how during one of my cooking classes, like I just like my cooking classes are really like we're part of a program that I'm able to distribute like 100 bags of fresh local produce to like 100 families every week. And I started the cooking class because I wanted to show those families how, like what I would do with the produce bag that they got. Not that I'm like, like Miss Chef or whatever. I do a decent job, but I just wanted to show people because it can be really intimidating. Like we don't want to give you some like garlic scapes and then you're like, I have no idea what to do with garlic scapes. Again, it's kind of like this inaccessibility. But when so I'll look in recipes and was, with this lens, I'm looking at recipes and it's just like, even the way a lot of recipes are written, make it feel very inaccessible. So it's kind of like, a really great example was one day it was like talking about like muddling our basil for something. And I was like, really? Like, it's just mashing it with a wooden spoon. You know what I mean? Like, you do not have you don't need a pestle and mortar to, make a healthy soda at home. Like, it's not that serious. Or like, even terms like whisk. And my mother does the same thing. She's like, I don't have a whisk. I can't make it. I'm like, just use a fork. It's fine, But just like these nuances that you don't really pay attention to until it's been brought to your attention. And it's like, wow, well, you might really have somebody who's just trying to start a plant-based diet, who's very like unsure about it. It doesn't take a lot to make you feel like, okay, forget it, I can't do it. And so like, I'm always just like, it is not that deep. It's okay. Like, it's not that serious. It's just not like everything really fancy, but yeah, so I really do like to, and I appreciate that you kind of made the point about, yeah, making it accessible. Go to Target, go to Walmart, wherever you go Amazon. It's like $69 for this blender. So you can do it.
Yeah. And Stacy, I feel like we have another one of those beautiful moments of our guest sharing something about like, just do it. Like, it's okay. Like, if you make a mistake or try something else, like, that's great. Jiana, like, again, you just set this up perfectly for us, for the show, for everything. We've had a lot of our guests having these moments where it's like, just don't be afraid to try. Like, don't let something come up and prevent you from moving forward with going a different route to better your life or to do something for yourself.
It's so true. I mean, we do that all the time. It's so easy to talk yourself out of something. But I just really am a big advocate of celebrating every step in your journey. So like if today you made a green smoothie, let's be like, you did it, you made a green smoothie. Like, how was it? How did it taste? Like maybe you'll do it again tomorrow. Maybe you won't do it again until Saturday. It takes a long time to establish a healthy lifestyle. I mean, it took me years to get to the point where I eat the way I eat and, you know, have this like holistic approach to wellness. It takes a long time. You know, you're like rewiring your entire thought process, and you're also kind of undoing like generational kind of thought processes, right? So it's like it's kind of like it's a process, and I just celebrate people who again are just taking this step on the journey.
I love that. I feel like that should be our new sort of like quote of the show: celebrate the process. Right? Because it's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it also really connects to mindfulness, right? Where you just like be present in the moment, like not worrying about what you did. We're not talking about the pizza you ate over the weekend. Like, we're not going to dwell on that. We're talking about right now, we're going to have this amazing green smoothie that's giving us all the vitamin C protection that you need in a day. That is amazing. You know, like good for you. And then also giving it to your children, like that is huge. I think it's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gianna. It was such a good conversation, and I'm so excited to try this smoothie because actually I make smoothies every so often, but green smoothies always have intimidated me because I felt like I've never had a good recipe to go to. So this is great. So
Awesome. Yes, I can't wait to hear about it.
yeah, we will report back.
Definitely, please do.
Well, thank you so much. And why don't you share with us how people can find you? So how can people find information about Get Fresh Daily and find you on social media and elsewhere?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So I am on Instagram at Get Fresh Daily. My website is www.getfreshdaily.org. Yeah, so you can reach me in both places. And if you wanted to send me an email, my email is gianna@getfreshdaily.org.
Wonderful. And we'll include all of Gianna's info in the show
Thank you.
notes. So you can reach out to her, check her out, and all of the wonderful things that she's doing. So Gianna, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you all so much. This was so much fun. I was nervous, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you all for making me feel so comfortable.
Always our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening and report back on your own smoothie making and let us know.
Please do.
Do an adaptation of the recipe. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
We end all of our episodes with the same quote from a Mary Oliver poem, which is, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" So thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you on the next episode.